In order to help Hannibal Lecter, his two sons, George Kirk and F. Scott Fitzgerald, team up for a change to do battle with Raymond Calitri. Or the Ninth Doctor, so I don't get any complaints, alright? It was Game of Thor, The Dark World.
Stop! Hammer time! Go to the floor! It is said if you came through the list, you're probably on dead. So wave your hands in the air. Bust through me, run your fingers through your hair. This is it. For a winner, dance to this, and you're gonna get there.
Alright, hello and welcome to another movie review from Resisting Boredom. Doing it by myself today, maybe at some point. I will get everyone to sit down because I'm sure they are going to see it and talk about this movie. But for now, I'll just give you my thoughts. I saw Thor the Dark World, Game of Thor as we like to call it. But yeah, anyways, it just came out. It stars, let's see if I can do this. I didn't prepare anything at all for this, so let's see if I can do it. Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, Tom Hiddleston, Anthony Hopkins, Idris Elba, Zachary Levi, Ray Stevenson, Jamie Alexander, Rene Russo, Christopher Eccleston, somehow I forgot that in there. Oh, Jesus, I can't say it, but Adwale Akinoye Akbaji, I have no idea, but the Echo from Lost. And, trying to think if there's anyone else. Kat Dennings is back, Stellan Skarsgård. Did I get them all? I'm sure I missed somebody in there. I'm sure I did. But hey, that was pretty good for off the cuff and not preparing at all for this. But yeah. Anyways, Thor: The Dark World. That's what you came to watch, and that's what I'm gonna tell you about now. I really liked this movie. I think this may be my favorite superhero movie of the year so far, which sounds crazy to some people, I guess. I don't know. There were things, maybe when I think about it longer I will change my mind, but there are things that I had problems with. Iron Man 3 a little bit. I still thought Iron Man 3 was a great movie, but it had little nitpicks. I thought Man of Steel was good too. Again, little nitpicks. But yeah, I don't think there was anything major that really bugged me in this movie. I think that's for a couple of reasons. Number one, I wouldn't say this is much of a superhero movie. I know that sounds stupid. This is Thor, he's an Avenger, all that stuff. But this is more of a fantasy movie mixed in with some sci-fi stuff. That's kind of how I saw it. I know that's a pretty generic description, but Star Wars was a sci-fi fantasy, right? It was a sci-fi movie, but it had a lot of fantasy elements in it. This is a fantasy movie with some sci-fi elements in it. It's the opposite. That may not make sense to anyone, but it does to me. So that's what I think. And Alan Taylor came in this time to direct it. I didn't mention that at the top, but it's very important. He's a guy who's directed several episodes of Game of Thrones. He's one of the producers. All that kind of stuff. He directed some of the, higher acclaimed episodes, the episodes people remember, the episodes people like a lot. He did some of those, and you can kind of tell, like, watching this movie, there's a lot of things that are a lot more Game of Thronesy. It's a little more, I don't want to say dark, because I wouldn't say it's a dark movie, but it's a little more grittier. The battles are actually battles. There isn't so much of one-on-one battles we kind of got with, the Destroyer and things like that in the first Thor movie. This is much more of, it seems like on a grander scale than the last movie was. But I thought this movie was better than the original. I'll say that right off the bat. Mainly because they didn't have to go through all the introductions and everything, so we could just get right into it. And the movie clips along pretty quickly. It does that classic adventure movie sort of thing, where in the beginning we set up this legend or fairy tale of sorts that kind of set us up for the whole movie. You get the title coming up then at the end of that and stuff. It was very old school to me. It seemed like a classic adventure movie. It was kind of the same way I felt when Hellboy 2 and stuff would do that kind of stuff, where they'd do that. Hellboy 1 did it too, I think, right? Because it had him as a baby coming through the portal. Anyways, that's not important. Thor: The Dark World. Yeah, so that was kind of cool, and then we kick off and we just hit the ground running from there on. I thought that the story this time was much more interesting, right? Thor 1 kind of seemed like, I don't know, it was hard to explain. It was kind of a setup for Avengers, but it was kind of its own thing, but kind of weird. This movie seemed like it was much more of a standalone movie, like, kind of like Iron Man 3, there's a couple nods to the Avengers, but, you know, and some of them are pretty funny and interesting, but overall it's not like hitting you over the head saying Avengers, 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 and really there's not, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but there are some things that happen that could set up for future events, but you'll find that out when you see it, right? I thought the acting was all pretty solid all around. I mean, this is a Thor movie. It's not, you know, it's not an Oscar award-winning movie, and it's not going to. However, I did think that there was a little more well-done character moments, actually. Like, I don't know, there was something off about Thor 1. I would say it's probably one of the weakest, that or Iron Man 2 of Phase 1, or whatever you want to call it. But this movie had some nice little character elements and stuff, and some things that happen, and there's some very, well, I'm trying to be vague about this, there's some very Game of Thrones-y things that happen in this movie. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then good, because otherwise it may ruin things for you. But anyways, enough talking about Game of Thrones. Thor, right? The action this time, like I said, is on a much grander scale. There are groups fighting wars and battles and things like that. There's some really cool science-y things. I'm sure it's all bullshit, but you know, in terms of watching a movie, it all made sense to me, and it, you know, it sounded smart. It sounded realistic, even if it wasn't. But yeah, it was good stuff. There was a lot more like jokey moments in the movie than I thought there was going to be. It had a sort of that Joss Whedon smarm, I think is what I'm trying to say, that Avengers kind of brought into it, and they're kind of continuing on with it. I thought overall the storyline this time centers around, you know, Malekith, played by Christopher Eccleston, coming in and trying to basically destroy everything, right? Or make it dark, or whatever their point is, but basically he's going to destroy everything. And the way things go in this story, it seems very basic, and everything seems very basic and simple, but I thought the way they handled it, and the like twists and turns and interesting plans and ideas and all that sort of stuff, was actually really cool in this movie. It was more than I expected, right? I didn't expect the movie to be that smart. Not to say that everything is not seen. I definitely saw some of it coming, but it was stuff that I was fine with seeing coming, mainly because it fit in with the story and the characters and the world and all that kind of stuff. It was good. It was good. And there's a lot of tricky hologram things. I mean, that's kind of odd. I mean, we're still doing the same tricks that things like Total Recall had back in the 80s. I mean, interesting. But nonetheless, I enjoyed the nod to Total Recall. That's what I think of. It's stupid, probably. I'm sure there are tons of movies that have done this. In fact, I know there are. But for some reason, to me, it always stands out with Total Recall, with the hologram people. Anyways, I hope that didn't ruin anything for anyone. But, yeah, we get some of that. I thought it was interesting, alright? It goes without saying at this point, but stay until after the credits. There's some things that happen even after the credits. They did two sequences again like they did in Avengers. And really the main important one is the mid-credit sequence. The after-credit sequence is just a little capper, right? But the mid-sequence sets us up for what isn't really Captain America. It's a later movie. It's the other movie coming out. But yeah, we get to see someone that we hadn't seen before. I hope that, again, I hate doing this because I feel like I'm ruining everything, but these are the things I want to talk about. Which is why this is a hard movie to review. Yeah, so I'm going to stop rambling now and just tell you that it is a great movie. I really liked it. I'm surprised how much I liked it, I think. I was excited going in, but like I said, Thor 1 was kind of a weaker Marvel movie. It's still great, but or still good. I don't know if I'd say great, but still a good movie. I really liked it. However, this is better. I like this a lot better, and yeah, I don't know. It was just solid. And again, I just got done seeing it, so this is probably all hyperbole. And in like a month, I'll be talking about how there were some major problems with this movie. But initial impressions, it's an awesome movie, and you should go see it. I'm sure you will if you wanted to go see it, because it's a Marvel movie, and people usually go see those if they want to. This isn't a hidden gem. This is a big, giant blockbuster, and I'm sure it'll make a ton of money. But it goes to show you that these superhero movies, as long as they keep doing this quality and this level, I don't see them slowing down. Like, this could go far longer than I think anyone expected. Meaning, you know, Phase 3 and possibly Phase 4 could be pretty cool, along with all that Netflix show stuff that's happening now. But yeah, I thought Alan Taylor did a great job. I think, I'm interested to see what he does now. I kind of want to see him do, even though he's great at it, I kind of want to see him get out of the fantasy realm. I thought this was a very good transition for him. You know, to transition from fantasy, I'm going to say it again, Game of Thrones. You can make a drinking game out of this review, where every time I say Game of Thrones, you take a drink. You'd be pretty drunk by now. But anyways, it was a nice transition for him. He got to do some present-day stuff. He got to do some sci-fi stuff. He got to, you know, try his hand at a couple of different things. And I thought overall he did a good job with all of it. So I'm interested to see what he does next. If it does end up being Terminator, which was rumored, once that's announced, I'm going to look like an idiot now in this review, and it'll completely date it. But still, very interested to see what he does next. There's talk of a Loki movie, and after seeing the movie, it'd be an odd movie to make. But, and again, I don't want to spoil anything. And I know it's because people love Tom Hiddleston, especially the ladies, but, and he's great. Yeah. Anyways, go see Thor the Dark World. Have a good time, you know, relax, take it easy, and enjoy it. I don't know if the 3D is really does much to it, so if you're wondering about that, 3D is not that important. See it how you want to. I saw it in 3D. And I think the main reason I like to see stuff in 3D at this point is because they usually put it in the bigger, better theaters. Sounds stupid, but it's true. So, this has been a very awkward and strange review. So I'm going to end it now and say Thor's great. Go see it. And hope you enjoyed this video. As always, you can definitely subscribe to this channel, and you can see more awkward movie reviews and discussions and ramblings-ons and videos that are way too long, and probably you'll stop watching after a few minutes. So, be sure to subscribe. You can like this if you want, that'd be great. You can tell your friends about it and share it, that'd be great too. So I'm Brandon Kaiser, and I hope this helped you resist boredom. See you in the next video.
Stupid!
Let's go! Let's go! Am I just making stuff for the Easter eggs?